Canterbury have won a total of 7 premiership flags in their club's history. The club's first flag came in 1920, and it was a grand final match that went down to the wire, as Canterbury defeated Mitcham by a point. This team was known as Our Immortals to the Canterbury Football Club. The club's second premiership came in 1956 when Doncaster went down to Canterbury at the Mitcham Reserve. This broke the club's 36-year premiership drought. Canterbury's third premiership flag came in 1969, and it broke the club's 13-year premiership drought. They beat Burwood by 6 goals. 3 years later, the club secured their fourth premiership flag in 1972, as they defeated St Kilda by 28 points. In 1981, Canterbury celebrated their 100-year club anniversary, and they celebrated with a centenary cake to celebrate this significant milestone in the club's history. In 1991, the club won their 5th premiership flag after 19 years. In 2003, Canterbury defeated Blackrock and secured their 6th premiership after 12 years, as they won by 36 points. The club's most recent premiership flag came in 2015, and this was their 7th premiership.
I'll stand behind you. Congratulations. Well done. What up, boys? Touch it!
In 2017, the Canterbury women's team were provided with the accreditation to play in the VAFA League. This was a great moment in the club's history. The first Canterbury women's team photo was taken in 2017. This team photo has become part of the club's history. We were fortunate enough to interview one of the greats of Canterbury Football Club. First a player and now a volunteer, Chris has been working diligently at the club for 30 years now and shows no signs of stopping, with his family still heavily involved across all aspects of the club. Describe your playing days at Canterbury Football Club.
I wasn't a very good player, but I always sort of tried my best. It was, back in those days, out on the ground, there was no grass, it was just all mud. There was no coaches' boxes, so when it rained, we all got wet. Things like the change rooms, there was no social rooms. There was after the game, you'd have a shower, and then you'd open the doors, and that was your social rooms. The canteen was an old caravan down here, that an old couple used to run. A friend of mine, when I was 13, brought me down, and I'm still good friends with him 30 odd years later. We used to, in the old days, ride our bush BMXs down here, when we were 13, 14. We'd jump in the back of someone's car, so we might have 7 or 8 people in the back of a panel van going to away games like in Brighton. Unfortunately, you'd be unlucky if you got Pat Fleming's car, where he was a real stumper, so you'd be lying on top of saws and tools and hammers and things like that, nails. So you'd get out of the car and you'd be all bruised from the drive there, and that's the way things were in those days. You know, it didn't really matter about seatbelts.
What was it like to play for Canterbury?
It was absolutely fantastic. It's basically, for me, that's where I've met all my friends in my life, coming down here, from like the early days to the older days. I was one of those players that always got injured, so for me, just getting through a game without getting an injury was actually good for me. About 6 years ago, I played my last game and it was short one day, and I lasted about 5 minutes before I did my hamstring. And the time before that was about 10 years before that, and I twisted my ankle in that game as well. I had to go skiing for the whole next week. So for me, just getting through a game was actually a bonus. And actually, thanks for reminding me, the time before that, I got elbowed in the eye and fractured my eye socket. So I basically had 2 visions where I'd see 4 things. My eye was pointing down this way. Ended up having to go to the hospital on the Monday. There was some toss-up whether I had to have surgery or not, but I got away with it. So that was just another time. So that's my last 3 games: fractured eye socket, twisted ankle, and hamstring.
What was your best memory about playing football at Canterbury?
There's probably too many things to sort of remember over the years. There's times like everyone talks about grand finals, like we won the 91, 2003 and 2015 finals. Of course, you know, they're go down in history for you. There was a time back in the late 90s where we had to win the last game by 230 points to make the finals, and we won by 232. So in the very last game of the year, we got snuck into the finals. So that you know, is one of those games that you sort of remember for the right reasons, and also just all the friends I made playing here.
What do you love most about Canterbury?
The people, everyone I've met over my journey. It's I met my partner here. I've got now my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, my nephew and my niece involved in the club. I like coming down watching, at the moment, my nephew play football.
Explain what it's like to be a volunteer at the Canterbury Football Club.
Fulfilling. It's you're putting back something back into the community, something back into a non-profit organisation. So you feel satisfied at the end of the day that you've helped out a local organisation. It's also, it can be not frustrating, but a lot of work. Depends what you do. If you can volunteer just to come and do the scoreboard on a Saturday, which might be here for 2 hours, or you could be the treasurer who has to generate reports during the week for the committee meetings and stuff. So sometimes it's just the amount of time you put in outside of the ground, outside of the club that can get a bit too much. Sometimes it get a bit much where if you're here 3 or 4 days a week, for 3 to 4 hours every day. Sometimes our committee meetings used to go to 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday night, so you get home. Next morning you're replying to emails nowadays, where in the old days they wouldn't have the email system. On the weekend I actually volunteered as a boundary umpire for the women's game. So today's Tuesday and my body's still killing me. I'm struggling to get out of bed in the morning because I'm so sore. So that's just something else. Then after the game with the women's, I'd come down here and help run the scoreboard or something, just something easy.
Describe what the culture's like at Canterbury Football Club.
I find it inclusive, so it doesn't matter who you are, it's, you're included in everything. Last year we started a women's team, and straight away the blokes and the women were socialising, getting to know each other, and we've got a couple that actually moved in together last week. So within a year, so with the culture, I like the culture of the younger people, especially on a Tuesday or Thursday night, hearing the stories they got up to on the weekend. Makes for good entertainment. That's it, I think.
Go for it.
It doesn't matter on your age or your social standing, you're still included as just one of the boys or one of the women now. So everyone's treated equal. I really enjoy that.